Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by. So it's Sunday, so it's another episode of this terminally online dictionary I like to do. This will be episode 2. The first episode was on the word grifter. There's a link in the description if you want to watch that one. Grifter, admittedly, is one of those words that's commonly used by people to describe leftists who don't believe what they say and they're in it to make money. This episode will be about something that right-leaning people use more. And that word is virtue signaling. Well, phrase, word, however you want to look at it. But virtue signal, virtue signaling, virtue signaler, any kind of qualifier to it. So what virtue signaling is, definitionally speaking, is primarily through social media, but expressing how you feel or how your merits on a situation and just proclaiming that loudly. If you look at the origins of the term virtue signaler or virtue signaling, either way, it's actually relatively recent. The guy who claims he invented it did an article in 2015 about it. There are instances of it showing up in like the early 2000s. Before it started getting into the political field, it was primarily used to describe religious people. But we've gone far from that at this point. What I have noticed with the term virtue signaling is that it seems like it is primarily used to disparage progressives. That, if someone posts anything about, like say gay rights, they'll post something about it, maybe they'll do like a little border around their profile or something like that to show that they're supportive about something, and they'll be told, oh, well, you're a virtue signaler. There's a part of me who says, yes, that is technically what you are doing. You are putting a signal out that displays your virtues. Being progressive and accepting of LGBTQ plus people. Yes, that is a virtue signal because that is what you're doing. It is signaling what you believe. I don't think that's a bad thing, to be honest with you. One of my previous videos I made about the whole putting pronouns in your bio on your social media pages, that is a virtue signal if you want to look at it that way, because in a way you're signifying to people that, yes, I accept people who do this. For someone like me, I think most people look at me and would default to masculine pronouns, but I put those in all my social media bios because I want it to be known without me having to clarify every time that, yes, I support trans rights and I support the right to self-identify. The other end of virtue signaling, which if you want to say that virtue signaling is when people call out left-leaning and progressive people, there is a term that I read called vice signaling. Now, it seems like with vice signaling, that's mostly used towards, frankly, I would say like conservative talking head type people. With all the examples I was given, one of them was someone talking about sneaking in a meat product to a vegetarian or vegan like cookout event. Someone who posts on social media about living in the real world and not being a snowflake. All of these were described as vice signaling, but to me, it's the same thing as virtue signaling. You're still putting a message out that says, this is what I believe. If you believe this, now you know. The problem when it comes to what I would say true virtue signaling is making these statements but not doing anything about it. You know, if you most recently, and frankly the reason that I'm making this video, it's about people who are putting the Ukrainian flag in their social media names or voicing support for Ukrainian people during the ongoing conflict. And I've heard people called virtue signalers for that. And as we've talked about in this video, yes, that is a virtue signal. Technically, they are correct. I would say the problem is doing stuff like that, but not doing anything real about it. And real, I mean, you know, it could even be something like posting links to where you can donate. You don't have to donate. I understand if you don't have a lot of money. But showing people where they can donate, or showing people where they can give goods or supplies, things like that. You have to actually do something about the things that you say you believe in. I think empty virtue signaling is the problem. You can talk all you want about the things you believe in, but until you do something to, put it in the real world to make it a reality, I would say anything you say is a virtue signal. It doesn't have to be any kind of political leaning. It all, to me, what a virtue signal is supposed to mean is I'm saying things that I want people to believe I believe in. Virtue signaling is only bad when you don't do anything about it, but frankly, almost everything you do in your life could be considered a virtue signal. I don't think it's something bad, again, until you don't do anything about what you believe in. But that's just how I feel about the term. I see it used a lot, and frankly, it just seems like people use it to disparage people. If you have any instances of being called a virtue signaler for, something you actually believe in, by all means, leave a comment, let us know what happened to you. But until then, y'all have a good day, and we'll do another episode of this next week. Take care.